Hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Yeah, my name is Comfort Oladayo Adigberu. So the last video I uploaded was the one I talked about the Queen Elizabeth Commonwealth Scholarship, and I mentioned in that video that I would be sharing more details, especially on how to apply and most importantly the essay section. So in today's video I'll be shedding more light, talking about the various sections contained in the application form, and like I said, most importantly, how to write the essays, the things you should look out for, and every other useful tips that will be relevant to you while filling this application. So stay tuned. Welcome back once again, and so straight to the point. While filling the application form, there are six important sections that you have to take note of. The first one is the eligibility, and the second one is your personal details. The third, the academic and employment record. The fourth is the course at the host university, that is the details of the course you want to study. The fifth one is your statement, that is your statement of purpose, which I would also shed more light on later. And the last section, the sixth section, is the section where you have to upload all of your documents, including your reference letter. So the eligibility is majorly about, like I mentioned in the first video, that for you to be eligible, you need to have completed your undergraduate studies, and the most important thing to consider is, are you a Commonwealth citizen? And you must also note, I'm not sure I mentioned it in the last video, but you should also note that you are not eligible to apply for scholarship in your host country. For example, if you are from South Africa, you can't apply to any of the universities in South Africa. You have to look out for courses in other universities which is not your home country, to which you are not a citizen of. Your personal details, just the normal stuff, your name and every other thing that is important, your gender, probably your date of birth. Then your academic and work experience, and in the academic and work experience is you have to include details of your bachelor's degree and every course you studied, if you have a master's before, and all of that. And in this section, especially in the work experience, try to include experiences that are relevant to the course of study, to your course of study, to the potential course you want to study at the host university. So for example, if you have so many work experiences, you shouldn't include everything. Just look for the ones that are kind of relating to what you're studying. But in a situation whereby you think your work experience is not so in sync, it's not relating well per se with your potential program of study, you can still include, but you can just then try to highlight it in a way that it specifies certain skills that will still be useful, like for a grad student, maybe just the interpersonal skills, some things that are still very useful. So don't just leave it blank. Don't just say, because my work experience is not in line with the program of study, I'm not going to put anything. No, you shouldn't do that. Work experience is still quite important, so also include that. The next section is the course at the host university section, whereby you have to fill in the details of the course you intend to study and which host university you have chosen. Then the main section now, which I'll be talking about in details, because this is very, very vital, and it's, let me say, it's like the major stuff by which you will be selected. Okay, before I talk about the statement, let me say that for you to be selected, I'm sure they are considering your academic record and how solid your references are. So you should know that whoever you'll be using as your referee should be somebody that will really write well for you. Yeah, and most importantly, you could suggest to your referees the kind of information you want to be included in your reference letter. Don't just tell the person that, oh, I need a reference letter, just write for me. While I used to tell my referees, the period when I was actively applying for scholarships, and even if it's just normal admissions to school, you have to tell your referee the kind of details you want. So for example, some scholarship might require certain things, while some other scholarships might require. So different scholarships have different areas of focus. So some scholarship might be capitalizing on how good your grades are. Some scholarships might be capitalizing on how well you are exhibiting leadership traits and character. So all of these are very vital. If it's important that your grades, your good grades be talked about, you should hint your referee. Prepare like a bullet point, prepare a list of things that you would love them to include in your reference, and don't just assume. Just give them a hint, give them hints on things that you would love them to, include. And like I said, the first thing to consider with which you'll be selected is your academic record, how good your, so 2-1 is the minimum, but definitely those with first class will stand higher chance of being selected. Then the next thing is your essay. So all of the essays are in 3 sections, so all of the sections I'll be talking about, you should kindly take note of them, because your essays, the first, the second, and the third section, how good you write them will determine how you will be selected and how you will be ranked. So now, without wasting much time, the first section of the essay is the study plan. So now it's good because the Queen Elizabeth Commonwealth Scholarship has given us tips on how to answer each of this section, how to write the essay of each of this section by listing out some subsections like questions that you can directly answer, and each of these sections have word limits. So you should, I think this is a very vital point that people really don't consider. You should mind the word count. I've reviewed essays for so many persons, and the first thing I check when I'm reviewing essay, before I review essays for people, I tell them to send me the instructions, because you can't just review essay without you knowing what is actually required of the person. On what basis are you using to, judge? So when I ask them to send me like the instructions and what the scholarship requires, so I use that as a guide to check what they have written and what they should adjust. But the most important thing, I used to ask them that, is there a word limit? So that's the first thing I check. Sometimes if they ask you to write 500 words, you should not exceed 500, and it's safe to write a bit less, even if it's just plus or minus 10%. No, that's a plus. No, minus 10% or 5%. If it's 500, it's still fair enough to write exactly 500 and writing 501. So that's very, very much important. So each of the section of the essays, the study plan, the community development section, and the last one, which is the networking, they all have certain word limits, which I will also mention as I'm going. So the first part is the study plan section, and we have a list of 5 questions that will guide you in writing the essay for this particular section. And you should also note that you could answer each of these questions and use them as paragraphs, like for this particular essay. So now the first question in the plan of study is, why have you chosen to study this course? What specific features of the course do you find interesting? Yeah, so this is quite important. You need to state why exactly you have decided to, study this course. You could start with maybe like a problem statement, and it could necessarily be maybe just more of like an interest. You talk about the course you have chosen to study, and it also says that what are the specific features of the course that you find interesting. This is where you have to, display your research skills. Honestly, grad school application requires you to do lots of research, and this research is something you have to do personally, because it is when you research you get to know what the course itself is about, the university, and just finding out things that are even beyond what you know, and this helps you to craft your essay really well. So now you need to understand what, fine, you might have not offered a course, but based on your undergraduates, you definitely have like an understanding for you to know what the course is meant to be about. Is this something you can cope with? Is this something you cannot cope with? So you need to study the course itself, go to the university website, go to the program website of that particular course, check out the modules, check out the things that you will be taught. So now the part which talks about the specific features that makes you find this course interesting, it is by you checking out the modules of the course on the program website. Through that, you can highlight specific things. You can say you're looking forward to so and so module, that's maybe a particular course that has caught your interest. For example, let's say I'm applying for a course on sustainable agriculture, and I could capitalize on the fact that there is a module titled precision farming, and you kind of talk about why you think precision farming is of interest to you, and all of those. So it is checking the module, checking the website of the program. It's quite very important. So the next question that would help you answer this section of the essay is, why do you want to undertake this course at this institution and in this particular country? So the first thing you might want to look at is the ranking of the university and what makes this universities stand out. What is their area of specialization when it comes to research? Are they really good at research, or they are just focused on teaching the students? We have masters that are taught and masters by research. So, and check also the particular program that you want to apply for. Check the website, check their blogs, check every information they've written. You could look for specific platforms that rank universities. You don't have to give too much statistics. Statistics are quite important, but it shouldn't be too much. For example, let's say you're studying sustainable agriculture, you shouldn't be giving statistics as relating to another course of study. How does that relates with the course that you have decided to choose? But then if you give a statistics on how well they've been ranked for research, definitely that is quite vital. And another thing you could also include is maybe if the program includes like some sort of internship. So now internships are quite important because they add to your knowledge and they help you build real work experiences and add to your skill sets when it comes to your area of study, and this helps in your career. So all of these are important. You could also check Google and know other things regarding that particular university and why have you chosen this course for this particular country. Look for how that country has a particular influence in your career, like how well are they doing in that particular sector which your program of study also really. Talk about their culture, talk about the things you are looking forward to, talk about just check out things about that particular country that makes the country to also stand out. What is the kind of lifestyle that is in that country? Are there certain advantages? What makes them stand out? What is their comparative advantage in terms of education and in terms of knowledge delivery? So all of these things are quite important, and in whole you have to still link them back to how it relates to you and how it relates to your program of study. The third question in this section states that what have you done to research your chosen university? That is, what steps have you taken before you decided that okay, this is the course I want to study and this is the particular university that you want to study? So now in answering this question, you could talk about, yes, definitely you have done research. What kind of research have you done? You've looked through the university's website, you've checked various rankings, you've spoken to alumni, you've read blogs, you've checked social media platforms, you most likely have watched YouTube videos, and maybe you have spoken one-on-one with previous scholars in that same university. So that's exactly how you are meant to answer these questions. You have checked reviews on the university and you've seen how the university has been rated, how it has been ranked, and all of that. So the next question, which is the fourth, is how is this course relevant to your future career plans? So now you most likely might not have everything figured out, which is perfectly fine, but it's just important that you have an idea of what you want to do. The honest thing is that you might even say, okay, you have everything figured out 5 years, 10 years from now, and things will change. So we have to be realistic, but within the space of now, before you decided that yes, I want to do a master's, what do you hope to do after the master's? Like, what do you want to use a master's to do? Do you want to go into research fully, or do you think it's going to help your employability level? Do you think with the master's you might be able to get a job that's better? So it's quite important to know how this course is relevant to your career plan. So that's why it's necessary for you to know your career plan. And when you study the course, what skills will you be getting, what knowledge will you be getting? You have to highlight that. If your career is to, if your plan is to be in the academia like fully, you definitely know that the master's is important, and the research writing skills you'll be gaining, depending if it is lab work, if your study is science related, all of these relevant skills are things you should highlight. Don't just generalize them. You should highlight things that are quite relating to your field of study. Yes, so the first thing is knowing your career. So if you have an idea of the career path you want to follow, then you know that, okay, what are the necessary things for me to succeed in this career path? Then you can look for a way to relate the course that you have decided to study with it. Then the last question, the fifth question in the study plan section of the essays, it states that explain how your previous studies and experiences make you a suitable candidate for this course. So the first thing you would want to talk about in this section is your undergraduate study. So it's only wise, and honestly it gives you a better chance of being selected, that your course of study in undergraduate must relate to what you want to study now. However, if you have like a different background, you are still safe as long as you have maybe like work experience that is solid enough that you can defend and present to back up this particular point. So the first thing you want to notice is your undergraduate study relating to this master's program that you have selected. For example, I'm doing sustainable agriculture. My undergraduate was in crop science. You get, so it's still relating, they're in line. But now imagine if I did something like biology in my undergraduate, and now I want to do business administration. There are two different things, and it takes a lot of convincing, lots of points to defend why I'm switching from biology to MBA. And I must not just be moving directly from undergraduate in biology to studying a master's in business administration. Between the undergraduate and the master's, do I have certain work experiences? So this will help clarify why. That is, you have to be qualified. And the thing is, even when you are trying to apply for a job, we have certain qualifications, certain things you have to meet up to. So this is how it is for the scholarship too. If you are applying for the masters, why do you think you are qualified? It's not just about the undergraduate too, but that is like one of the most important things. So what other skill sets do you have? You definitely don't need to have all of the skills, but have you taken internships? Have you been involved in certain volunteering experiences where all of your volunteering experiences, come to play and they come in handy? Have you taken courses online? What do you think would allow you to stand out from other applicants? Did you do something in your undergraduate project that is relevant to what you want to also study now? So you highlight all of these things, talk about the skills you have gained, talk about certain courses that you have offered. For example, I want to do sustainable agriculture. Definitely I will talk about the courses in soil science, the courses in crop science I have offered, and different courses in crop physiology, things that are quite like in relation to what I want to study. If sustainable agriculture requires, maybe one of the modules is statistics, I definitely want to talk about that. I have also done something relating to statistics. So talk about some of the work experiences that you have also done, your internship while you were in school, your all of that, industrial training, the summer trainings you did during your breaks, and every other thing that is relevant. Yes, so for the study plan, just to give you a quick recap once again, you have to state what you're interested in, the course of study, what specific features you find interesting with the course, and talk about also why you have chosen the particular university and why you have chosen that country. Talk about what you have done in form of research to choose that university, the reviews you've read, the website, the details, how you found those details. Talk about your career plans and how this course, relates to that. You want to do a PhD, how will the masters, how will the course help you in achieving that goal? Then lastly, in this section, you need to talk about your previous studies, the experiences that make you a suitable candidate. So this is going to package all of the online courses on Coursera, everything that you have done relating to that course. So the next section of the statement of purpose and essays is the development, impact, and post-study outreach. This you also have to talk about the sustainable development goals. Okay, in the first section, I forgot to say the number of words. The range is between 200 to 400 or so. It should not be less than 200 and it should not be more than 400. So like 350, 300 is actually fair enough. Even if you write up to 380, it's still good, as long as you are not just repeating things and what you're writing is making lots of sense. So now, how to answer the question relating to the development, impact, and post-study. But you also need to know that one of the goals of the Queen Elizabeth Commonwealth Scholarship, like I mentioned, is that they want scholars to develop knowledge and skills and learn how to apply this knowledge and skills in their career, solving global related challenges that are in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The first question is, describe briefly one challenge or problem in your country that you would like to address. So for example, I'm studying sustainable agriculture, and one of the global challenges is the issue of food insecurity, and this also affects Nigeria. So on a large scale, you might want to talk about how food insecurity is a global problem. You have to give data, you have to give statistics to support this fact. Talk about how many million people are suffering from certain issues relating to food insecurity. How many persons are hungry? How many persons go to bed hungry every night? Then bring it down to the national level. How does this affect Nigeria? Then you also want to talk about what things have been done, what things have been put in place to solve this problem, to reduce the impact of this problem, and talk about the research gap, talk about the things that have not been done. So it is from there you can now come in. This leads us to the next point, to the next question, specific questions you help you in answering this essay, which states that how will your proposed study help you contribute towards a solution to this challenge? Now you have highlighted those problems already and you know what the problems are. Then you just have to bridge the gap between your course. Your course might not necessarily be the solution, but you have an idea of what the solution should be. For example, in Nigeria, there's a problem of food insecurity. Now, food insecurity is just like a broad topic. What exactly is causing the food insecurity? Is it as a result of food wastage? Is it as a result of insufficient food production? What is the cause of insufficient food production? Is it as a result of lack of technology or lack of technical know-how and all of those things? And also, you might also want to talk about it depends really, because you could also go to the aspect of producing food in a way that is eco-friendly, that is sustainable. That's for my course, sustainable agriculture. Now, so now how does your proposed course of study, how can it help in solving this problem? Definitely the reason why you want to study is to get more knowledge, to get more skills, to enlighten you, to add to your previous knowledge, and to help you be well equipped to be a change agent, to be well equipped to be able to make impacts and solve problems relating to your country, relating to whatever challenge you might be facing. So this is where you talk about the specific modules, like maybe for example there's now I'm offering courses on precision farming. I'm offering courses that will teach me about how the soil can be well managed to produce more food, courses on agri-food economics, and maybe there are certain policies that needs to be understood that will help the government make better decisions. So many things that will contribute to the whole subjects, to the whole concept of solving food security. So now the next question in this section is, what skills do you expect to gain from this scholarship? What skills do you expect to gain from this scholarship? The first thing you might want to talk about is the research skill that you will be gaining, and most importantly the knowledge. And talking about the research skill, you definitely feel like you definitely know that you have acquired some things while you were an undergraduate, but this knowledge is not sufficient, it's not enough. So that's why you are pursuing a master. So you talk about the writing skills you'll be gaining, talk about the experimental knowledge that you'll be getting, the practicalities that you'll be exposed to as a result of this masters. Not just the practicalities, because depending on your university, most university would also expose you to what is happening in the real world, real life problems, and you'll be involved in certain things. Also talk about the soft skills you'll be gaining. You'll be exposed to most persons, communication skills, your presentation skills will be polished, it will be honed. Talk about interpersonal skills that you would also be getting as a result of you mixing with other persons. So it's not just you focusing on academics and not just research skill. Think wide, other things that will be of benefit to you by offering this master's program. Yes, another thing you would also want to talk about is maybe the networks you will build that will help you not just for this program but subsequently, even when you are done. And that I say that this particular aspect is community development, so it means that they're expecting you to be a change agent, they're expecting you to contribute to your community. So know that every skill you'll be getting, think of something that will also be long term, not just for the now. So now to the next question that would help you in answering this section. It's fourth question, which says, how will you apply or share the knowledge and the skills you have gained from this award with your local community and or the wider Commonwealth when you return home? So most definitely you should know that you'll be going back to your own country. So the scholarship body feel like they have poured into you. So what do you want to do with what has been poured into you? What impacts will you be contributing? So now you have stated some problems earlier on and you know what these problems are. So how do you want to solve them? How are you going to bring yourself into the picture? future, what are the things that you can do? Will you be organizing conferences? Will you be organizing seminars? One thing I think you should mention is you should be working with other persons. Will you be working with other scholars, collaborating with like-minded individuals to solve certain problems together? Will you be working in a non-governmental organization, or will you be working in a particular organization that you have been working with before you started your masters? Some organizations could allow you to go further your studies. Then you could talk about that. Yes, I want to go back to my organization to keep making impacts, to apply the knowledge and the skills I've gained, to contribute towards the development of the organization and development of the society in the long run. Just think of things that are feasible and relevant, and you should also give a time frame. Don't just give that, okay, when you get back you want to build a company. How do you want to build a company? That could be a long-term goal. That could be something that will happen in 10 years, which you can include. You can break this section into maybe what you will be doing in the short term, medium term, and long term. So in the short term, what do you think you can achieve? Will you be on the social media sharing or dispersing some of the knowledge you have gotten? Will you organize or start up a volunteer group or a community project that is relating to what you have studied and will be of good impact? So now to the section of sustainable development goals. The first one says that select the sustainable development goals that relates to your work from the drop down menu, and you should also talk about how does your work relate to the sustainable development goals that you have selected. Now, in case you are not aware, we have about 17 sustainable development goals that were established by the United Nations, ranging from no poverty to zero hunger to gender equality to all of those, climate change. So we have, and there's no course you are studying that does not have a particular sustainable development goal that is relating to. For example, if I'm studying sustainable agriculture is first relating to zero hunger, which is the sustainable development goal 2. Then it can also relate to no poverty, because when there is food, it kind of reduces poverty, and the provision of jobs via agriculture can also help to reduce the rate of unemployment and also reduce the rate of poverty. So look for something. You have to study each of the sustainable development goals, then look for which one in particular is relating to your course. It can be more than one, it can be more than 2. You understand? So I would leave a link at the description box that will lead you to the list of the sustainable development goals. So the question says again that how does your work relate to the sustainable development goals? So you have to understand what that particular sustainable development goal is about. Check each of the sustainable development goals have targets, they have objectives that they are set to achieve. Then you just have to relate your chosen course of study to them and explain how the skills that you will be getting would contribute to the achievement of the sustainable goals. Now to the last part of the essay, the last section of the statement of purpose that you have to write. Now, before I go to the last part, I forgot again. I don't know why I keep forgetting. The number of words, 300 to 500, is the one for the community development essays, the one I mentioned, whereby you have to discuss the problem of your country and all of that. Then the sustainable development goals section is about 150 to 200 words. So please and please and please and please take notes of the word count. Now to the last section. This is relating to building networks. It's titled creating networks, and the word count is about 200 to 400 words. So now we have 3 questions in these sections that would help you to answer this section correctly. The first one says explain how you have developed professional networks. This can be through academic studies, hobbies, work experience, volunteering, involvement in social, cultural, or Commonwealth organizations. The second question talks about how have you used this network or connections that you have developed to achieve something, and what did you achieve? So now it first said that you should mention how you have developed professional networks and how you have been able to utilize this network. And they even gave you example of ways via which you can develop networks, maybe in your academic setting. So you want to look back to your undergraduate, you want to look back to periods whereby you have been involved in certain extracurricular activities. Is it internships? Is it volunteering? How were you able to network with people? Is it maybe through social media? It could have even been like an online platform. So you have to talk about various ways you have been able to connect with people. Is it by engaging in by helping people, or when you were being helped and all of that? Then now it talks about that how have you been able to use these networking skills to achieve something, and what did you achieve? To answer this part, you really have to talk about first what networking is. What you do, not just copying something from Google, or you could look at Google to help you have a better understanding of what networking is, just in case. So networking is more about collaboration, is more about joining hands together with people, more about teamwork, more about sharing of knowledge, ideas, skill, delegation, and all of that to achieve one goal. So now to do this, there's something called the STAR approach. The STAR approach is STAR. That is, there's a situation, there's a task, there's the action, and there's the result. So you have to talk about the exact situation you were involved in. What was the problem? What was expected of you? That's the task. What was expected of you? What were you meant to do? Then action is, what steps did you take? That is, I'm sure the step in this area is not, it might not just be networking, but networking is part of the step. That's the main action, because they're asking you how you have used networking to achieve a particular goal and how were you able to achieve it. Then the how, which is the result, is what came out of it after you had a problem, after you employed networking as one of the skills and the tools in solving that problem. What was the result, or what were the results you were able to obtain? And don't forget to also mention the kind of networking skills you employed. Who were the persons involved? What kind of organization did you use? What platform did you use while you were networking? So to give a solid example for that, maybe you could think of a voluntary experience, activity you've been involved in. Maybe you wanted to establish a particular group, then because of the fact that you were involved in a conference or a seminar at some point, you were able to exchange contacts with some persons, or maybe you have contacts of people who were like senior colleagues or junior colleagues in your university, in your particular field of study. Then you were able to reach out to these individuals who collaborated, who were able to accept different roles in ensuring that that project you were working on was a success. So that's very vital. Now the last point to note in the networking section, which is a question that was asked, is how might you develop these connections further during your international study experience? Now in this place, you want to talk about your connection with your lecturers, you want to talk about connection with certain professionals and officials in the organization that you'll be in. The university will be, maybe for example, you are doing internship, and definitely you won't be the only one working. You would meet both senior colleagues, you meet seniors, you meet your colleagues, you meet even your subsidiaries in that organization. You want to talk about also maybe in certain clubs or societies, extracurricular activities that you'll be involved in, the people that you meet, and all of that. All this will definitely contribute towards you owning your networking skills. You don't just want to be like a one-man person. You want to talk about how well you relate, and in relating with people, it means you yourself, you want to talk about how you would actively be contributing to others. Because for you to really network, for you, I think it's just a normal thing that we should know. For me and you to probably network and relate or become friends, it means that I must be providing something that is valuable. You must also be providing something that is valuable, that you must have values that align. So you want to talk about what you'll be bringing to the table, what you'll be contributing to be able to establish a good connection. You also want to talk about in this section how the networking skills and the people you collaborate with will help you in achieving some goals subsequently in the future, most especially your community development project by the time you get back to your home country. And not just your community development project, but life in general, because we need people, and you don't know who can, refer you for certain opportunities, and people you could also recommend for certain things. So these are like the tips that you can take note of as you are preparing to write for. I know this video is quite long, but I'm sure it will be really useful. So these are the tips you can take note of as you are preparing to write the essays. And don't forget, again, the essays are quite important. Each of the sections, when you write them well, they will give you a great chance of being selected for the scholarship. And notes, very important, notes, don't plagiarize. And it was even stated on the website that anyone that plagiarizes their essays will be disregarded. You could look online for tips on how to write, but be mindful of copying word for word. You have to be unique. Own your essays, really. I know there's the chat GPT and all of that, but check online for tips, but don't plagiarize. Don't copy word for word. Even if you have a senior colleague that is willing to explain things to you and show you how the previous essays have been written, don't steal. Don't take the essay and just copy it. Just let it be like as a guide for you, and own your work, own your essays. So you might want to watch this video over and over again just to get conversant with the tips that I've shared. And also, to give a brief overview again, you have to confirm your eligibility. To create an account, yes, I'll be putting the direct link to create the account. But even before you create the account, watch the first video, check the website itself, look through the schools. People have been asking me that how should I apply, and I'm wondering that why exactly did I create the video if it's not to show you how to apply. So watch the videos before you ask questions. You might see the trailer, but watch the video first. Check the description box for all of the links, and I'll still be putting more of the useful links, the sustainable development goal link, the link again to the application guide, the link to the frequently asked questions, the link on how to create an account, like the first step on creating an account, and every other thing that I feel that is important, even if I did not mention them in this video. So what else? Yeah, prepare your documents. You can apply to more than one school, but you have to finish one application first. You can't apply to more than a course in a particular university, just different schools. So maybe, for example, like I said, maybe South Africa has 3 schools. You can apply to each of the 3 schools. Maybe Sri Lanka has more than 1 school. You can apply to each of those schools. So prepare your documents, watch the videos, do the things that are appropriate, and involve God. Yes, involve God. Honestly, involve God, and I'm so sure that everything will work out well. Most definitely. So I wish you guys all the best, and do drop your questions in the comment section, and contact me on LinkedIn if you do have any questions to ask. Don't forget, the deadline is May 24th. Don't wait till that day. You could submit a week before, maybe 3 days before. Even if you're submitting on that day, note the time zone, note the time difference, and just be diligent with what you have to do. Make your research, and don't let this opportunity pass by. It's a fully funded scholarship, 2 years, masters only. All right, guys, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Yes, I know I've not been consistent with posting updates, but if you find this video quite helpful, don't forget to subscribe and tell a friend, share with others. Don't just keep it to yourself. Be nice enough to let others know about this opportunity. Do have a wonderful time ahead. Bye.